What's up, everybody? This is indeed the E-Man, chilling like a villain, sing like Bob Dylan, keep it on the low with some double stuff. Oreos. And people who know me knows me that I love movies. Movies are my lifeline. Movies are everything to me. And when I tell you, man, this guest that I have on my show right now, man, true blue veteran, man. I like to call him a veteran of the game instead of calling him a legend because everybody's given that L word. But I think he's more of a veteran because when you're in the industry, man, you take a lot of hits and you got to be able to survive. And this guy he's the definition of a survivor. Been on such TV shows like Charles in Charge, Pee-wee's Playhouse. He was in a few episodes of Webster. He was on the episode of The Cosby Show. He's been in movies like Heavyweights, but you might know him from this amazing trilogy of movies called The Mighty Ducks. See this on my hat right here? Quack, quack. Number 33, Mr. Greg Goldberg, a movie called Jesus Revolution with Kelsey Grammer. I'm totally honored to say that Shaun Weiss is on the special delivery show today. What's up, Shaun?
What's up, my man? It's nice to be with you.
Yes, sir, man. Did I mispronounce your last name?
A little bit, but it's Weiss, but you know, as long as you got the Goldberg part right.
Okay, so Shaun Weiss. I'm my best friend since fourth grade. He's gonna be coming in later. But man, thank you for coming on the show, man. I really appreciate your time. Really, really do.
Yeah, thanks for having me. We had a little scheduling problem, and I'm glad you're not too upset with me. I'm glad you let me come on and say hello after all that.
Yeah, man, it's all good. Things happen. Hakuna Matata, man. It's all under the bridge, man.
You know, I gotta get me, dude. What I need is I gotta get me an assistant, bro, because it's just, you know what I mean. I'm like too busy, and I'm not equipped to handle like all this, date keeping. So if you know anybody that wants to be an assistant, because I can't afford one right now. Right. But if you know somebody that wants to like intern on the low, let them know about me.
I will. I definitely will, man. All right. All right, man. I just got some burning questions, like inner child questions, if you don't mind. I'm gonna go through right now, man. Yeah. So, what was your favorite cereal growing up?
My favorite cereal? Oh, dude, this is gonna sound lame, but I like Crispix, bro.
Crispix?
I'm a Crispix eater, dog. Crispix, yeah. I know it doesn't have all the. Okay, all right. You want a sugary one? I'll go with Fruit Loops, bro, and Applejack. Yeah. Okay. I'll eat a bowl of Fruit Loops for dinner right now.
Yeah, man. Like I was like growing up, I wasn't able to get that stuff, but when I would go over to my cousin's house, he would have like all of the sugary stuff my mom wouldn't let me have. There's this one cereal called Smurfberry Crunch. And man, it was amazing. You know what I'm talking about?
Not exactly, but anything with a Smurf name in it, I get it.
Right. Oh, it was great, man. Okay. All right. So
you didn't get those sugary cereals as a kid, so you're still thinking about them to this day because of that, huh?
Yeah. I mean, like, I love like, but see, I'm an adult, so I like Basic 4. I like, I like the Post O's. I don't know if you remember those. They were like Honey Graham.
Yeah, love those. Yeah.
Amazing.
Those are crunchy.
All right. So you're a 90. You're like you kind of grew up in the 90s like myself. So okay. Yeah. My cherished game system. I don't play video games anymore, but I loved the NES growing up, right? And my favorite game of all time was Mega Man 2 and Mega Man 3. But on the other end of that spectrum, there are games that you just hate. And there's I hated Back to the Future. There was this game on NES called Back to the Future based off the movie, but it was really bad.
I don't think I ever played it, yeah.
Yeah. What was your favorite NES game growing up, and what game did you absolutely hate that made you pissed you off?
Definitely NES was my favorite console. It was probably the time I logged the most hours on. My favorite game was Super Bomberman. You remember
Yeah, I know
that
what you're talking
one?
about. Yeah.
And a game that I've always just disliked, I don't even know why, was Zelda. I
Zelda?
just never
Yeah.
got into Zelda, man. I don't know why.
I can never really get into the RPGs either, man. I'll be honest with you.
That was
Um,
like the early RPG, huh?
yeah, that was like one of the first. And another game that pissed me off was this game called Battletoads. It was just
Battletoads.
ex- it was like, when Ninja Turtles were really popular.
Yeah.
They tried to come out with their own version of Turtles called Battletoads, and it was
I
just
get it.
extremely hard. It
I
was almost
see.
impossible. It's impossible. What what are
Battletoads.
some what are some of the snacks from the 80s and 90s you wish they would bring back?
Hmm. Well, I'll be honest with you. I don't eat the way I used to in the 80s
Yeah.
and 90s because I used to
Okay.
just eat like whatever. And so now I'm fairly health conscious. But I can tell you, they have something in Canada that we don't have here in the USA. And for the life of me, I can't understand it. And that's potato ketchup chips. So it's just like a flavor that they have for all their potato chips. You see it in 7-Eleven. Lay's has it, all the different companies,
Right.
ketchup flavor chips, and we don't have that here. So I've always been wanting to know why the heck we don't have that here. Makes no sense, right?
I've seen ketchup chips. I can't remember which brand made them, but I know exactly
Mm,
what you're talking about. Like
yeah.
me growing up, like I loved Keebler used to make these chips called pizzerias, where
Yeah.
they were like pizza chips, but they were made out of fried pizza dough, and they were
Yeah, no, I
amazing.
definitely remember those. I
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
definitely
yeah.
remember those.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
wish they
those
would
were
bring those
good,
back.
bro.
Um Childhood celebrity crush.
I had a huge crush on the girl that used to play Punky Brewster.
Oh, Soleil Moon Frye?
That's her. And
Yeah.
then I fell in love with Nicole Eggert. And when I was on Charles in Charge, she gave me a kiss right here, and it drove me
Wow.
crazy for probably 2 or 3 years. Yeah.
Wow. That's pretty cool. Yeah, she was hot. I loved I love Phoebe Cates, like from
Who's she?
Gremlins.
Oh,
Phoebe
from
Cates.
Gremlins, right? Yeah.
Yeah, she was also in Fast Times at Ridge Mountain High.
Hmm.
I really like, I like the Connie Moreau from the Mighty Ducks, man. I think her name is Margaret in real life. I thought
Yeah,
she was beautiful.
she was not bad,
Yeah, man.
not bad at all. Do you
And
remember a girl named I know you remember her, but you remember Elizabeth Shue when she was in Karate Kid,
yeah,
or are you too young for that?
no, dude. Let me tell you something.
Woo!
She's on my list.
Fire!
She's on my list, man. Like
And then
I'm
she was in
blanking out.
Adventures in Babysitting too.
Man, she was just so girls next door beautiful, man. And
Yeah,
and Alyssa Milano. I was in love with Alyssa Milano from Who's the Boss,
dude,
man.
she's still fire on her Instagram.
Oh yeah, she still looks good. From the 90s, like what were some of your favorite songs from the 90s? Like I imagine like when you're on the set of the Mighty Ducks and you have all these young people around you, including yourself, you guys listen to a lot of 90s music. So what was on your playlist?
Yeah. Well, a lot of the guys in the Mighty Ducks were like into ska and reggae and rock and funk, but I was a hip hop guy always.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, I used to listen to I can just remember the singles that we used to like when you heard a song on the radio and you wanted to hear it, you would go in and buy a single.
Yes.
I feel so old saying that. But I was big into like Heavy D, Sir
Nice.
Mix-a-Lot. I was a big MC Hammer fan. Just
Nice.
all like the big top 40 hip hop. Bobby Brown, you know,
Man.
all that stuff.
I'm that is really cool. What is an old song that plays in your head and stays in your head rent free and you don't even realize why? Like
Hmm.
for a long time, the theme song to Zoobilee Zoo has been playing in my head forever.
I don't know if that's rent free, man. You're paying for that somehow.
Yeah, man.
That's not really free. Let me see here. I have you know what I have a playing in my head a lot is old Frank Sinatra tunes. I think
Okay,
that's because my dad used to listen to that. But I'll find myself sometimes like unconsciously humming a Frank Sinatra song. That must mean it's deeply embedded, right?
oh, for sure,
Yeah.
Frank, man. And I'm just discovering his stuff now as an adult. You know, as a kid, I never really listened to it, but definitely now. Um, so okay, so every hero has an origin story, and you were born in Jersey, like myself. A lot of great people are from Jersey. John Bon Jovi, Bruce
Yeah.
Willis, a lot of amazing people. Joe Pesci's from Newark. So I wanted to know, like, what is some?
Springsteen,
Who else?
Bruce Springsteen.
Bruce Springsteen, Queen Latifah, Redman. Um, so I wanted to know what was your childhood like, and what were some of the highlights of you living in New Jersey?
My childhood, and especially looking back on it, I don't think I appreciated it then, but I had a really amazing, wonderful childhood, and my parents were great. They were very supportive, and uh, tried to get me involved in as many neighborhood things as they could. And I don't know, I just had like an awesome childhood when I look back. Like I got into drug and alcohol treatment recently, and a lot of the
Yeah,
treatment is really centered around like unpacking childhood trauma.
right.
And the more I really looked for it, the less I could find. I just had a happy childhood. My parents are very cool, and then I got started in the acting business early in the game, so it was just very exciting for me. Like my parents would take me out of school early to go to an audition or something, and I used to really be thrilled about that because it was fun. So I just
Yeah,
had a lot of fun starting up my career. And I used to have probably my favorite thing to do in life is to be on set shooting a movie or a TV show. So I just had immense fun. That's not the case with a lot of people. Some people don't like the actual process of making a movie because there's a lot of waiting around, and
yeah,
there's different things. You spend a very small amount of the actual time acting. So a lot of people that like acting find that they don't really enjoy making movies because there's hardly any acting involved. So, but I just basically had an incredible childhood, and a lot of the memories that stand out are like, um, to be honest, a lot of my childhood memories center around things that happened to me, like during the movies or like a big movie release. So I guess
right.
that's where probably my largest memories come from. Like for instance, when the Mighty Ducks one came out, my parents rented out a movie theater and took all my friends to go see it. So it was me and
Wow.
50 of my closest friends in a movie theater watching the Ducks for the first
Wow.
time. That was a night I won't ever forget.
You know, just to go off of what you said, which is it's a beautiful segue to the next question, where I feel like, like I said, movies are a big part of my life. And the movie for me that really knocked my socks off, because I went to movies before, and let's just to let people know, and I said this in other interviews before, growing up, going to the movies was a real luxury. It didn't happen often, it was a real event. And I remember watching Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. Now, I didn't watch Raiders of the Lost Ark before, so I was going off with the word of mouth. Plus, I was a Star Wars fan, and I loved Harrison Ford from, Star Wars. And
Mm-hmm.
as an 8-year-old boy, that movie completely blew my mind. It had
Yeah.
everything I wanted in it, you know. And so I want to know for you, what movie possibly inspired you to become an actor and just completely knock your socks off?
Well, it's funny because you just mentioned it already. It would Back to the Future is definitely one of those movies where,
Yeah,
similarly to what you're describing, I can remember being blown away for the first time at a movie. And just totally just captured my imagination. And also I was always a big fan of Michael J. Fox.
for
And I feel
sure.
subconsciously I might have even have modeled a lot of my comedy after his. So that's an easy answer for that question. Back to the Future. And I can remember standing in line with the huge line down the
Yeah.
block to waiting to
Yes.
see. I almost want to say that Star Wars, were they released at similar times?
Well, the Return of the Jedi was put out in 83. I want to say Back to the Future, at least the first one, came out in 85.
Okay, so
And
not so close.
not so close, but man, when you talk, man, I could talk about Back to the Future all day. Like it's like one of those movies to where like it's I don't want to say perfect, but it comes pretty close. And
You know what I mean?
to think about even like how, and I've mentioned this before, and on a I mentioned this before because there's an actor named Dante Bosco, and he does a
Yeah,
Instagram
we're
show called,
friends.
oh, you know what I'm talking about? Okay. But he
Yeah,
does Monday Cinema Club. And we in the movie of the day was Back to the Future. And I was telling him how, like, there's so much that went on behind the scenes in that movie, but yet it still worked. Eric Stoltz was originally supposed to be Marty McFly, but he got
right.
by Michael J. Fox. And I'm talking about, and like there were weeks in production, and he
Right.
got replaced.
They had
But there's
already
such,
shot a lot of the movie. Yeah.
yeah,
Crazy.
yeah.
And Michael Fox, I guess he was working on the show at the same time,
Yeah, Family Ties.
Family Tie. So he could really only work on Back to the Future for a few hours out of the day or something like that. Crazy story.
It's crazy, but it's a beautiful story because it's a great lesson in life, how, like, because Eric Stoltz is like a high caliber actor, but he just wasn't right for that role. So it goes to show, like, even if you get rejected in any kind, don't ever let that rejection make you second guess your talent. You know what I'm saying? Because Eric
That's
Stoltz is a
absolutely
great
right.
actor, but he just wasn't right for the role of Marty McFly. But it doesn't mean that he's any less of an actor. I think that's just a great lesson in life. But it's a great movie. I could talk about it all day.
I agree. And it's one of those movies you can watch it over and over again. And even though you know what's about to happen, it's still enjoyable.
Absolutely, man. Gosh, man, that was a great answer, man. Mighty Ducks. I'm gonna share this memory that I have with you. Okay, so my best friend who's about to join us soon, um he introduced me to the Mighty Ducks because, like, I didn't watch any of the Mighty Ducks until the third one came out, and we watched it together at a theater, and I had no idea what was happening, but he loved those movies so much. I fed off of his energy, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it was just like that third one specifically it's a real coming of age movie. You know what I'm saying? It's about growing up. You know what I mean? It's really powerful. Looking back at it as an adult, I realized that, I remember it because I remember that moment of seeing that movie with my friend because it was a remarkable moment. And in life, you have remarkable moments. In order to remember things, you have to make things remarkable. So you have to make memories. You know what I'm saying? It's important to do that. Two, I realized that, so you got to surround yourself with people that love the things in life as much as you do. You know what I'm saying? We both genuinely love movies, and that was just great. And then also, there's nothing like, you know, um, finding joy in finding something new. I didn't know anything about those movies, but I fell in love with those
Wow.
characters.
Those are
So that
three great takeaways from that situation. That's really smart of you. And I think those are very important lessons for life. Hadn't even really thought about any of those three angles. So thanks for opening up my mind a little bit.
Hey, no problem, dude. I just wanted to know, like, for you with that specific movie, what do you remember the most? The
About the
third
third
one.
one,
Mm-hmm.
well, we had come to LA to shoot that one, and on the other ones, I think we're mostly in Minnesota, but we started that one out here. And I guess what you're saying is true. It was sort of a coming of age for us because we were, moving into our late teens.
Yeah.
And so I guess when we made the third one, like our parents were on set, not as much. And so we were all just kind of more self, you know, independent. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it just felt like we were older. And you know, we were like, you know, in our late teen years, and we could really you know, by that time, the communities that we were making these movies in were really embracing us when we came back to town. Because, like, on the
Yeah.
first one, we showed up, nobody knew who we were, and we were just all happy to be in the movie. And by the time we did the third one, you know, they would like shut down city blocks for us to shoot scenes, and the neighborhoods would come out to watch us film. So to end up there
Wow.
from starting from a spot where nobody knew what we were doing was kind of cool, you know?
Yeah. That sounds really cool, man. It's just when I think about that movie specifically, there's so many like unexpectedly great moments in that movie. It's like movies of the 80s and 90s has this thing where, like, say for example, Teen Wolf. Teen Wolf starts off being a comedy, right? But then, like, in the third act of the movie, it changes into this great sports movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I had an opportunity actually to talk to Mark Holton, who played Chubby from Teen Wolf, and I was talking to him about that very thing, about like it, it just has this great sports moment where it's like you almost forget that you're watching a comedy. And like, the same thing with the Mighty Ducks, and especially in the third one, where there's a moment where you get handed the puck and you don't even expect it, and you make the shot.
Yeah.
And you're like, it's such a great moment between you and Charlie, where he's like, don't ever do that to me again. He's like, Goldberg, we won. It was so, just that one moment it was so great, man. Like, I mean, do you remember that moment?
Oh, absolutely, vividly. I remember reading it in the script for the first time and being just as surprised reading it in the script as I might have looked when we actually did the scene. I just couldn't imagine, right from when there was lines in the script about Russ wearing a Goldberg jersey. I was like, what's happening here?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I remember I remember the day we shot it very well, because it was just kind of a tricky thing to maneuver. But I remember when we shot it, it's kind of a weird thing to explain, but I felt a real sense of joy in just pretending to make this winning shot as if I did in real life. You know, it's weird. I guess it's just acting. And when you're acting, it's all about, what if this was really happening right now, I guess. And it's just an exercise in that, basically. And I guess I just really got into it because, I remember the day we shot that and just feeling just joyful. Like I had actually helped the guys win a hockey game.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I mean, like, that's what I wanted to ask you too, man. It's like, how much of yourself is poured into Goldberg? Because, like, I feel like when you go back and watch movies like Mighty Ducks and even the movies like Goonies, and what made these movies so great is, like, I feel like there isn't a lot of acting involved. It feels very natural. It feels like I'm as a watcher, I feel like I'm a fly on the wall. If you ask anybody, I've interviewed a lot of people, and when I ask people like some of their favorite movies, they always say Goonies. And and it's something magical about these movies like Goonies and Mighty Ducks that makes it so relatable. So my question for you is, like, how much of yourself is poured into that character of Goldberg, and how much is it not acting?
Yeah, my answer would be all of myself, really. And I mean, like, I don't know at that age what my skill level of acting was. So it's basically you're just pretending all day. Like, what if this was me? What if this happened to me? So it was a lot less thinking about this character I was creating and a lot more of just imagining my real self in these situations. So all of myself. I don't know that I could distinguish, like, here's the line where I leave off and Goldberg begins.
Okay. Right on.
These are good questions, by the way, Emmanuel.
I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that. And one of the things in D3 that makes it that I can relate to a lot is like that changing of the guard, and of like, you know, even as a watcher of the movie, I feel just as betrayed as Charlie does when Bombay decides to go off and, you know, he has another job and do different things, and we're left with this new coach, which is Coach Orion, played brilliantly by Jeffrey Nording. And I can relate to that because I took martial arts as a kid, and occasionally, sometimes, you know, my sensei's husband would come in, and if you can imagine in your head, my sensei's husband was like, I want to think as an adult he was trying to do the right thing, but a part of me thinks it's a borderline child abuse. He was like an evil Chuck Norris, you know what I'm saying? And he would like he'll make us do weird stuff. He'll step on our stomachs and all this other stuff. But I want to believe that he was trying to like make us better people, but I'm looking back at it, I'm like, I'm not too sure. So like I can kind of relate to that. Like when, you know, you get this new coach, this Coach Orion. What was it like working with Jeffrey? I mean, was there any kind of tension as far as like having this new person come in this role?
Well, I wouldn't say it was tension, and I can't speak for the other Ducks, but I know on my part, I was just a little confused as to why he wasn't there. You know, it just seemed for us like the reason he wasn't there had to do with like all these adult issues that were going on that none of us knew anything about. So that's just kind of how I remember it playing out, you know?
Okay, cool.
Like we all wanted Emilio to be there, and I don't think any of us could make sense over why he wasn't there.
Right. Well, this is a bonus question because this has been bothering me for years. This is so awesome I'm able to talk to you. On the D2 cover, right? There's two opposing, you know, players. It's somebody in the Trinidad uniform and it's somebody in the Mighty Ducks uniform. Are you that person or is that somebody else? Because I'm thinking
I am not that person. I am not that person. I don't know if I'm intended to be that person. I don't know. Does that person have some bubble gum in their mouth?
Yes.
Oh, that may be why it was a little confusing. But no, that wasn't me. I didn't pose for that picture.
But I
don't know who it would be. We'd have to figure out what two teams are on the cover. Is it Trinidad and who else?
It's Trinidad and the Ducks, and then it's like right in the middle, it's Bombay.
Oh, right, Bombay. Okay, so Trinidad. Yes, no, that was not me. I don't know who it was.
Okay.
That's a good trivia question, bro. We got to figure out who that was.
Yeah, because you're definitely on the first cover on the first movie. That's you, right?
Yeah, that's me. That's for sure for me.
Okay. So, all right. So D2 is like one of my favorites. So there was obviously a cast change from the first movie, right? You know, you got a lot of the new Ducks, a new roster of Ducks. You know, you had Mike Batar, you had Aaron Lohr, which was really cool because I remember Aaron Lohr from this show called Bustin' Loose, which was kind of like a spinoff or of the old movie. Yeah. Ty O'Neill, Justin Wong. So what was it like dealing with these new Ducks? You know what I'm saying? Was it really cool to work with these people, or were you like, well, what happened to the old people?
Yeah, I mean, of course, we were always like, yeah, what happened to the old people? But the new guys were cool too, and they were just great guys, and they fit in really well with the Ducks. So it just kind of like they just kind of picked off where everyone left off, really.
Nice, man. There's a part in the in part 2 where you're talking to the team. I think you guys are playing Italy, and you say, well, how do you say it in Italiano? Wussy. And I always thought like that was Disney's way of saying pussy without saying pussy by combining the word pussy and wuss. Is that about right?
Well, I don't know. I've heard wussy probably for many years before that reference right there. So
Really?
I don't think they invented that. But I think you're probably right with the etymology of how it was really originally created. But
Okay.
wussy, yeah, they've been saying wussy since for ages, man.
Okay.
Wussy is almost as old as pussy, but not as old. But yeah, no, I don't think Disney made that up.
Okay. Because I know a lot of times, like Disney will, like, there's certain things you can't say or cannot say. Um.
Yeah.
Okay. Another question that's been burning inside of me. In part two, there's a point in the movie where I think you guys are playing I want to say Trinidad, and the announcer calls Adam Banks captain. So I was confused because I was like, hold on, I thought Charlie was the captain. So at any point was Charlie did that was he a co-captain and then there was a captain?
Well, what movie you're talking about? Ducks 2 now that you heard
Yeah,
this, or Ducks 3?
Ducks 2.
Ducks 2. Well, no, I mean, I only know that Charlie was a captain. Now, Banks may have come in to have been alternate captain after in the second movie, but like when I picture his jersey, he doesn't have a C on it.
Okay.
Only Charlie
Yeah.
has a C.
Yeah. I was always confused by that. Um,
Yeah, I'll
so
have to investigate exactly to see exactly what you mean.
there's like recently and I'm just naming just a few people, and I forgot the name Keenan as part of one of the new Ducks. And I felt like you guys really got along, naturally really got along. You know what I'm saying? Which makes the movie more enjoyable to watch. Like, and you actually end up working with Keenan later on in Heavyweights. So what and recently he got his star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame or whatever, and he seems to be really supportive in your journey of being clean.
Wait a second,
So
he got a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame?
yeah,
Didn't even know that.
yeah, yeah.
How long was that?
That was I want to say 2 or 3 months ago.
Oh my God. I mean, that must have been because I know he was in town hosting the Emmy Awards.
Mm-hmm.
So it must have been around the same time. That's crazy. I did not know that.
Yeah,
God,
yeah, he got a star.
baffling.
It's great. I think I want to say because when you get a star, they usually have some people speaking on your behalf, and then the actual recipient, talks for a little bit. And I want
Yeah,
to say
and then you put your hands down on the cement, right?
yes.
Yeah.
And then they revealed the star, and I want to say Kel was there. And one of his Saturday Night Live people were there speaking on his behalf. But I wanted to ask, like, what was it like working with Keenan and Joshua Jackson and Aaron Lohr? And what was it like working with all these great people?
I mean, I could go on for days about each one of them, but they're all people people tend to lose credit of this fact a lot of times. If someone gets to be a movie star, most likely they're incredibly impressive. You know what I mean? They're the kind of person that walks in the room and everybody wants to be around them. Everybody wants to hang with them. Like a lot of celebrities get a bad rap for being like, having a bad attitude with people or being, standoffish. And it's just not what I've seen. What I've seen is most of the most successful people are typically like, the most magnetic and the nicest. Because you have to get a lot of people to want to work with you,
Absolutely, yeah.
Right.
So definitely that holds true for all of the men that you've mentioned. They're just very impressive people to be around. And Keenan, he was just funny all the time,
Yeah, for sure. I just mentioned Heavyweights, and Ben Stiller's in that movie, which is crazy.
Yeah.
You're in the movie. what was it like working on that set with these people? And I want to say, correct me if I'm wrong, because I can't remember the director. Was Judd Apatow the director of that movie or no?
It was Stephen Brill.
Stephen Brill.
That movie was a trip because they were like warning us about Ben Stiller, like, because we were all there many weeks before he was there. And they kept warning us about, like, when he got there, like, he's going to be really intense. Don't be upset if he's not that nice to you. Or they just kept warning us. And we were all, I was like afraid of what this guy would be like. And he got there and he was just totally cool. And, he definitely is very a focused actor. And there's probably not a lot of room for being like an immature little kid running around a set near him. I think he kind of made us all kind of up our game a little bit in terms of our professionalism.
Yes.
But other than that, he was the coolest dude. And he's one of the guys that I remember just watching because he was so funny. Like, this is next level funny you're talking about. This is not like average comedian. His performance is so like intense and off the charts that you don't even really get a chance to see somebody like that in your real life ever acting like that,
Yeah.
When's the last time you can remember in your own life seeing somebody like a character like Tony Perkins that's that intense? So we're not even really used to watching that kind of like dense, intense character. So just seeing that up close in real life was kind of like, breathtaking a little bit. But
absolutely,
yeah, man, that was the shit, dude.
Yeah. Like I said earlier, you were on so many shows, but the one specific show you were on that I had a question about, which was like, I don't want to say it's a spinoff of the Cosby Show because it wasn't, because it was a different character than Theo Huxtable. But recently I listened to a podcast called The Breakfast Club, and Malcolm Jamal Warner was on the show, and he was talking about this short-lived show called Here and Now, and that you were actually a part of as well. And I remember him saying, like, if it would have had a better time slot, it probably would have survived. But
Yeah.
when he said that, he said something else that really completely blew my mind. You were on the show. Mos Def was on the show. Also, you had Lauryn Hill was on the show.
Omar Epps was on there too.
Omar Epps. And what was it like being on that show?
Well, I was playing like a little Mexican kid, and I wasn't Mexican, so I was confused the whole time as to what these people wanted me to do. I'm not kidding, bro. And because I'm like, why? I'm like, aren't I a Mexican? And they're like, yeah, but don't worry about that. You don't have to speak any Spanish. And I'm like, oh, never mind. It was just confusing. But dude, I remember watching Chill on that show, and Malcolm was such a fantastic comedian. And you're right, I forgot it wasn't a spinoff of the Cosby Show. I had it in my mind the whole time that it was. But I just remember watching all the adults on the show do their thing, and it was the first time I was up close and personal on a sitcom. So I had never really seen people work on a stage play like that. So I was just kind of in awe the whole time. And I thought I was going to be on a TV show for 5-10 years. And then one day after dinner, they just came and said, all right, we're canceled. I was like, what? I thought we were doing this for years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, man.
That was a shocker.
Wow. What's up? Just joining me is my friend, best friend since 4th grade. He was on 2 episodes of my podcast with Jennifer McGill. I want to welcome to the show Juan Dickerson. What's up, Juan? How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good.
Yeah,
what's up,
Just
Juan?
enjoying the conversation, man, and listen.
Yeah,
cool, man. 4th grade, huh? Holy shit.
How long you been here?
I've been like here about 10 minutes.
Wow, you're like a ninja. I didn't even hear you. Oh, you had a fantastic question, Juan. What you something I totally forgot about? Like, what was your question, Juan?
Okay, well, my question, and I'm glad I made it so I could ask it. My question was, how did you get into acting?
there was a lady doing a talent scout in New York City, and she put an ad in the newspaper that for, I think it was $250, which back then was a lot of money, right?
Yeah. Still is.
$250. This lady was gonna look at your child and tell you whether or not your child can be in television commercials. And so we went, and my mom took me to see that lady, and the lady put me in television commercials.
Okay, so television. So you started out television commercials. How long was it before you were with Pee Wee's Playhouse?
I think within the same year. The same year I started, yeah.
Okay, so how was it? Because growing up and looking at that show, it was so much. It would, looking at it would have kids. I know for me, it had me so excited. I like to see all the things that were going on. How was that to be on set with it? Because I know it's kind of like different looking at it or being on the inside looking out.
It was, but it was the same. Like, I mean, I thought it was cool too. And it was like one step cooler because like we got to see how the chair actually worked, you know?
Okay. Yeah.
So it was like not only am I hanging out with this talking chair, but I actually know the dude that goes and sits up inside of it, you know?
Yeah.
So it was just like double cool. And it was the same for us, dude. We were just happy to be on that set, really. And they did. They kept it fun for us, you know. They made it like we were always playing all the time.
So that was your first major like television. I mean, I know you did commercials, but like major television exposure.
I would say so, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Unless there's something I don't remember, but I think so, yeah. Me and Pee Wee had the same birthday.
Okay.
Nice. This whole time, since I was 5 years old, he gets at me every birthday with a card or something.
Cool.
I don't even know. There was some years I think he found me when nobody else could find me. I don't know how he did that.
Nice. I remember there's so much you could say about Paul Rubens, but I'm just discovering recently that Cyndi Lauper sung the theme song for that show.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Get out of bed, there'll be no more napping. Oh my God.
Yeah.
You don't even know that.
Yep. And
literally learn something new every day.
You know, Lawrence Fishburne was on that show too.
Yeah.
That I know. Yeah, I mean, he was there. That I'll never.
So what was he like?
He was a big, larger than life guy, very sweet, very friendly. He would like come to the kids holding area and like tell us jokes and stuff, you know, very sweet guy. And his trick that used to trip us out was that he would show us his tongue, and he had some kind of condition where his tongue was like a jagged, like a sharp, the tip of an arrow, and it had like jagged edges all over it. He would call it something, but he had this crazy snake tongue that he would whip out and show over. But yeah, it was a trip, dude. It was a trip.
Wow.
I can picture it. It had like tentacles. Oh man.
Wow.
There's got to be an article on the internet about him and his crazy snake tongue.
One other thing that I when I was researching everything that I found out, you were on Webster.
Yeah.
You were on Webster. You did 4 episodes. What was it like working with Emmanuel Lewis?
Dude, I was so happy to meet him because I was a big time Michael Jackson fan.
Heck yeah.
So this was like, 2-3 years after he showed up to the Grammys, I think, with Michael. So I don't know. He was very famous to me, is what I'm saying. More famous to other than people because of his connection to Michael Jackson. And oh my God, that guy was like, it didn't make sense to me that he was a grown ass man in a little dude's body.
Right.
And I don't think I had come to terms with that or knew how to reconcile that. So I think I just spent most of our time together looking at him like this, like
trippy.
because
So like you wanted to play, but he's like, no, I got grown people stuff.
Exactly. We were all little kids, and he's like, I have adult shit to do.
Yeah.
Now, you were on a Pudding Pop commercial, right?
Yeah, that was the first commercial I did.
Okay. Did y'all hear me fart? I didn't mean that. Sorry.
I did. I just thought I must be crazy.
Okay. Yeah. That was all
Your
good.
mic is working wonders,
right in the middle of his own episode.
I forgot how
Your
good
mic
this
is
mic
working
works.
wonders, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got that digital.
Bobby Digital. But no, you were on a Pudding Pop commercial. And first of all, Pudding Pops, they're out again, and they do not taste the same. I don't know how they can mess that up. But anyway,
Easily.
Like how what was it like being on that commercial? Like because you're working.
I don't know,
with
bro, but you're gonna have to let at least a minute go by between the time you blast ass and then tell me what Pudding Pop tastes like.
You know, I mean, yeah, I'm gonna edit it out.
What was the question? I'm sorry.
Oh, was it? It's cool. Well, what was it like being like on set, like doing a commercial for the first time?
I was in I was in the Jello Jam band, so I was the saxophone player. So it was just a lot of air saxophone, man, just pretending like you play sax. That was just a lot of that.
Hey, the easiest job ever.
I could still crush it. You would never know that I was not playing sax.
Yeah.
Yes. You missed the Mighty Ducks question. I was telling him how like the first time we watched Mighty Ducks at the movie theater and how like, how hype you were and I had no idea what was happening. And then I was like, oh crap, I recognize some of these people on screen. And I was telling him how special that moment was. What are some of your, if there's something you would like to share as far as like some of your best memories of watching those movies?
I remember one time we skipped school. And we watched 5 Deadly Venoms that day, and we watched Mighty Ducks that day.
Did we watch the 5?
You had that long white
You guys
car.
both did this?
Sir?
You guys both skipped school together?
Yeah, we skipped school. He was going to one high school, I was going to another one. And you talk about two guys who probably didn't do much wrong at school and didn't get in a lot of trouble, and we just decided it was junior senior skip day. And we decided we were going to do it. We decided we were going to do it. We stayed at my house, we got pizza. We watched 5 Deadly Venoms, and we watched the Mighty Ducks.
You know what? Yeah.
Guys, I think that's why really, and I'm almost sure, that's why people, are so fond of those movies is because of days like you just said right there.
Yep.
That's what it is.
So that's one of my fondest memories. I remember looking at Mighty Ducks 2, and when all the other teams came into play, and Trinidad, and then your boy that couldn't stop Jesse.
Luis.
What
Luis.
was his name?
Luis. He played my guitar.
Yeah. He couldn't stop. It's just all those things. And like when y'all went to the park, and the street guys were teaching y'all how to play on another level. And he was like, you got to use your brakes, baby.
Yeah.
It's things like that. I think about things like that. And then even to go to part 3 to see, and I want to ask this question, but to see let me back up and say it this way. I think that the main thing for me is to see how everybody grew. It was a series where you saw everybody grow in each movie. Now, for you, what do you what are the differences in your character from 1 to 3 that you noticed as you were doing this, that they just capitalized or kept him growing, that made him relevant? Because you can have some movies where the characters don't grow, so they're not in the next movie.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I've never even thought about that even once. Like, what was how did my character grow? And I don't know that he did that much. I mean, if I'm wrong, you correct me. I mean, he was, by the 3rd movie, he was still blasting as much ass as your friend Emmanuel there. He was doing that as much by number 3 as he was doing that in number 1. So
Okay.
I don't know. We didn't even get him a pack of Tums in all those 3 movies. But I guess he came out of his shell in a lot of ways and became more fearless after having been put on the spot with that game-winning goal. And then, I guess the other real obvious thing would be from the very beginning of the movie, he gained a sense of confidence and trust in the team that he didn't start off with. And I guess that just kept escalating as they got further down the line.
I think one of my favorite scenes was when y'all were in the boutique in Beverly Hills.
Yeah.
Ladies to try on the clothes. Oh man.
That reaction felt so real. It felt like y'all didn't expect those beautiful models to come out. Did y'all not expect that?
Oh no, we did. Yeah, no, I was requesting them for weeks in advance.
Nice.
Let it be somebody hot. I think that again, it goes back to those movies. Those movies had a way of drawing you in. Even in the very first one, their storyline and Charlie and the coach and all that, it had a way of drawing you in. And then especially 2, I mean, when I tell you that 2 had me sucked all the way in, I was wishing I was doing the flying V with you. That's how much it had me sucked in. And then and I felt like when it came down to 3, you're really at you're really at the high school age, or you've matured some, and I could relate to a lot of it. It just had a way of dragging me in and pulling me in. I don't know about anybody else.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like in a lot of ways, I'm a spectator to these movies just like you guys are. You know, so we meet up and we go through the experience of filming them, but I really don't see what the finished thing looks like. So in a lot of ways, when I sit there watching it in the theater, I'm seeing it for the very first time like you guys are. And it works on me too. Like I get it. Like I hear the music and I get goosebumps and I want them to win, even though I know they're going to, and I think that's how it's really good filmmaking, right? When they mix the images with the sound and the story and the characters. And so I agree with you. Like I'm just as sucked in on those moments too. Even with the game changers.
Yeah.
I was getting into that, Yeah. I was into that.
Dude, I will say this though. I always felt like the tutor from part 2, I always felt like she was a bit of a hater. She's like, yeah, you guys are on Wheaties boxes and stuff like that. And I'm like, hold on. I mean, like, dude, they're just doing their job. You know what I mean? I always felt like she was a hater. And I always felt like, too, I felt like there wasn't that much of a difference between Captain Blood Bombay and Coach Orion. To me, they were kind of cut from the same cloth. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They were both they both had pressure, you know what I'm saying, to do certain things, you know what I'm saying? But they both were trying to look out for the best interest of the team.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It was just the next step in that, like the next chapter in that story. But it's very similar, yeah.
For sure.
And it goes to remind us that, like, even as we're growing, like, you're gonna have to learn to deal with other people. And that was one of the things, like, for me, like, I played football in school, and going from junior varsity to varsity, it was 2 different coaches. So you had to learn another coach. And I think that really spoke a lot for me and letting me know that, like, in life, you're going to come into different people. People are going to have a different way of doing things, and you're going to have to be able to punches if you're going to be part of the team. That's the way it came out to me.
Yeah, you're so right about that. I guess that's the cool thing about, and that's a reason we love sports movies, is because they can cover a lot of these sort of life lessons and general principles in a sports movie, like how to succeed, like how to work with others, and I think the Ducks definitely covered a lot of those universal topics for sure.
Yes. Even the 3rd film dealt with death, the death of Hans, and that was like, That was powerful too, man. You know what I'm saying? And I love there's a moment where you guys are all at the funeral, and Bombay shows up and he puts the jersey on the casket, and then Charlie, all Charlie could do was just look and walk away because he was just so hurt. You
Yeah,
know what I'm saying?
and through those movies, you got to see him cultivate that relationship, kind of like grandson and grandfather type relationship. Yeah, man, that got me. And being somebody that, and I think we all probably have lost people, but to see that, yeah.
Very
I
powerful.
forget about that moment. But yeah, it was a very emotional moment when Hans dies. I always remember that scene because my real mother, they were during the funeral scene, they were using our real parents as the funeral goers.
Oh wow!
And so just as extras. So my mom, very unlikely it was for her to do this, but she agreed because I asked her to. So she agreed to be in it as an extra. And they ended up featuring her like a full close-up for like 3 seconds of just my mom's face. So she wasn't an extra at all. She was like I guess they call that a featured extra.
Right.
But yeah, she got put in the movie. So whenever I watch the Mighty Ducks 3, I get to see a nice close-up of my mom who's no longer with us. So it's nice to have those little reminders.
My condolences, man. I lost my mom. I lost my mom too back like in 2010. So I understand. And my dad.
Yeah, I guess around almost same. I think 2010 also.
Yeah.
When my mom passed. So yeah, I know what that's like.
For sure. I want to say first of all, I don't want to divulge into like my show is not about divulging into personal business. But I wanted to say, dude, you look amazing, man. You look fantastic. I'm very like for what it is worth, man. Like, and I know Juan could probably say the same thing, man. We're very proud of you. Like, as far as you being clean for 3 years, man, that is quite the accomplishment, man. Because like, if I'm being 100% candid here, man. When I read that article like 3 years ago, man, it really broke my heart. You know what I'm saying? I was really concerned. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm such a fan of you in that franchise, and to see you, now clean for 3 years and you have this support system, man, it's really, really beautiful, man. So I just want to say, man, congratulations, man. Seriously, for real.
Yes. Thanks a lot, man. I appreciate it. I feel bad that I had to put the Ducks fans through that, but I'm hopeful that maybe we can use like a hard situation to hopefully benefit some people that need uplifting. That's all I can say about it.
I always say this. We all have different walks of life. Different things happen to us, and we end up going down different paths. But to be able to come back from that, because nobody's path is perfect. Nobody's path is perfect. I, as well as anybody else, have had some things that we've had to deal with. But to be able to come back from that, man, is amazing. And to come out better than before, we take the lessons from it. It's amazing. I did want to ask this, not since we own this, but I did want to ask, what is your motivation now versus 5 years ago? Let's talk about 3 years ago, okay? What is your motivation? What keeps you going now to keep you away from
to stay clean? I guess it's not even I was gonna say jail because I don't want to go to jail.
Right.
But I gotta say, dude, that's not even like a thing anymore. Like, see, because I had to stay clean because if I had like a dirty test, they would send me straight to jail. So that's literally what made me stay clean. But now that period of time has ended. So I wouldn't even go to jail. I'm not even on that anymore. So, I mean, look, what motivates me to stay clean now is just I like the life that I have now.
Okay.
And,
absolutely.
when I was in treatment, I was in like dude, they have you go to do hours and hours of therapy every day. You're in therapy for like 5-6 hours a day of just therapy. It's a lot,
Really?
man. Yeah, dude.
Wow.
So because there's nothing else to do all day, and you're in treatment. So what are you gonna do? You got to do therapy.
Right. Okay.
So anyway, so you be in therapy and like, thank you.
Yeah, man.
So one day I got into group, and the guy asks me. He said, "Now I had to be there. A judge told me I had to be there, and everyone else in the room, I think they were there like on their own. These are all the other patients in the group therapy."
Mhm.
And he's asking, "What?" He asked me, "What am I hoping to get out of this course of therapy?" And I said, I don't really know. What should I be wanting to get out of this course of therapy? And he said this. He said, "You should be trying to figure out how to build a life that you don't have to escape from." And those words were very profound to me. They stuck with me. And that's what I've been trying to do the last 3 years. And I think I've been successful at it. And I just have a life that I don't want to leave or escape from. And it's that simple.
For the life
Absolutely.
that you don't want to escape from. That's deep.
Right.
Absolutely.
I guess what he's saying there is our drug, all of our usage stems from our need to escape our life.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
So if we don't need to escape, then we're cutting off the problem before it exists.
Wow.
Anyway, so I think that's it.
Absolutely. So you have this new movie out called Jesus Revolution, and you play a veteran, which is kind of ironic because in the very beginning of this interview, I consider you a veteran of the entertainment industry. I'm noticing something in Hollywood that's really magical. This magical moment in Hollywood that's happening now, where kind of like how it happened for John Travolta back in '94 when he did Pulp Fiction, and it kind of restarted his career. Now the actors of my generation, like yourself, recently Jonathan Key-Kwan from The Goonies, he was nominated for he won a Golden Globe, and he also was nominated for an Oscar. Even Corey Feldman, he's having a resurgence in his career, and I feel like this is your time right now. You know what I'm saying? Especially with people with great stories like yourself, and even Kwan or Jonathan Key-Kwan, who have these amazing stories of these comebacks. So do you feel like this is your time? This is your time. Like this is happening. I believe like this is your time. Like this is the time for our generation to shine, like yourself.
Well, I mean, look, professionally, I've really reached all of the goals that I ever had already. So when you talk about like, is it specifically my time to shine? I feel like I've done that already. I'm willing to let some other people shine now. But if I can earn a living, inspiring others while also making them laugh, telling my story of triumph over drug addiction while also doing some stand-up comedy and traveling around the country doing so, that would be amazing. And do I think it's time for that? Absolutely.
Yes.
Sure.
Yes, absolutely. And I mean, forget the fame. I'm just talking about just like more work and things like that. You know what I'm saying? And that's the most important thing, just more work, for work, because you're a working actor.
Yeah, you got to eat.
Not many would see it the way you see it, but you're very insightful, and that's also the way I see it too. Because when I talk about like to my people in my life about wanting to get acting work, I think they feel like I'm trying to chase a little celebrity too, but it isn't. It's exactly what you say. It's work, and the only job I've ever had. So,
right.
If I knew how to program computers, then I'd be doing it.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, and I always say this too, like real quick, I just want to say like we're living in a time where like to me, I feel like the movie going to the movie theater is becoming extinct And that really breaks my heart. I think COVID had a lot to do with it. You know what I'm saying? I saw the times changing even before then, because I used to work at a movie theater. But I feel like it's very important to go out there and support and go to the movies. You know what I'm saying? Last night I literally went out to watch Creed 3. I would have watched your movie, but it was not playing at my movie theater.
How was it? Was it good?
Oh, Creed 3 was great. Yeah.
Good.
Jonathan Majors is on another level, brother. It's
all right,
and very metaphorical too. But real quick, how can people reach you?
You can reach me at my you can just send me a message on my Instagram. I'm at Shaun Weiss.
Okay, cool. And
I talk to people on there. I've got many relationships with a lot of fans on there, so I'm accessible.
Absolutely cool, Dan. And Kino, how can people reach you?
They can call you, Emmanuel.
They can
we call each other every day.
They can call you and get to me.
That's beautiful that you guys have such a nice friendship, man. That's really nice to see.
We have been friends for
family, man.
30 years.
Yeah, brothers. Yeah, man. But hey, man, I really, Shaun, really appreciate your time.
Yes,
and
sir.
I mean this from the bottom of my heart, man. Like, I really appreciate it.
That's very nice, man. I appreciate you saying that.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And,
I'm glad we were able to fix our relationship.
Absolutely, man. Thank you, man. I really, things happen. How are you feeling though? How are your ribs?
I'm much better. I mean, I can't really do a lot of moving or anything, but it's much better.
When you get to one position that's comfortable, you have to kind of like stay there.
Basically, yeah. Or when I lie down, I just take it real slow, and just once I get there, that's it.
Right.
We're not moving. And it's I'm having this real problem, man, not to like get too personal, but I have a wooden floor in my bedroom, and I'm having this issue where I wake up as I'm doing a stage dive to the floor of my room. It's happened a couple times, and that's how I broke these 2 ribs. So
Ooh.
I don't even know what I'm going to do, because, they just started healing, and then it happened to me again last night. So,
oh, wow.
I don't know what to do. So that's what I'm working on. As you see, I just went to Walmart. My plan, I got these giant ass pillows, and my plan is to line the floor.
Hey, you got to do what works, brother. Got to do what works.
Yo, until I can get the Nerf football people to come in and nerf out my room, this is all I'm gonna have to do.
Right.
Oh.